TLDR Learning presents the timetable that broke the world. What single clause turned a brilliant timetable into a strategic trap? The answer begins in neutral Belgium and ends on the banks of the Marne. When the summer of 1914 opened, Europe stood on a knife edge. Treaties bound empires like invisible chains. Industries hummed with pride and menace. Germany, confident in its discipline and mathematics, believed it could master the coming storm through geometry and precision. It carried within its archives a plan so detailed that it resembled clockwork more than strategy, the Schlieffen Plan. Its promise was seductive, a short, decisive war. 6 weeks to crush France before Russia's armies could gather. Strike fast in the west, then pivot east while the world still reeled. Victory by schedule, peace by arithmetic. But hidden inside that confidence was a sentence written 75 years earlier. The Treaty of London, 1839. It guaranteed Belgium's neutrality. To Berlin's generals, it was an inconvenience. To Britain, it was an oath. And in that conflict of interpretation lay the trap. Across Europe, the fuse hissed. An archduke's assassination became a telegram exchange. A telegram became mobilization. Mobilization became destiny. By the final days of July, diplomacy had collapsed under the weight of timetables. Railway clocks, not cabinets, ruled the hour. At Berlin's great stations, crowds cheered the departing trains, showering soldiers with flowers and songs of Christmas victory. The air smelled of coal smoke and prophecy. In the quiet offices of the General Staff, pencils moved across maps. Every corps had its line of march, every wagon its minute. It was beautiful in its cruelty, a plan designed by engineers and believed in by a nation that trusted order more than chance. The right wing, immense and rigid, would sweep through Belgium and northern France, curling past Paris to close like a scythe. The left would hold, the right would decide. Timing was everything. Friction was forgotten. At dawn on the 4th of August 1914, German troops crossed the frontier. Mist clung to the Meuse River. Cavalry patrols rode ahead, sabres gleaming like polished promises. Behind them rumbled artillery so vast that villages trembled as it passed. Belgium answered with refusal. King Albert declared, "Belgium is a nation, not a corridor." His words carried more weight than all of Schlieffen's calculations. The fortress ring of Liège blocked the route to France. 12 strongholds of concrete and iron guarded the valley. The timetable allowed 48 hours to silence them. It took 11 days. Shells pounded the hills until the air itself screamed, yet the defenders endured. Each day lost rippled outward through the schedule like cracks in glass. Trains backed up, supply lines tangled, and men marched on roads that no longer matched the plan. For every hour spent at Liège, 1,000 elsewhere were undone. Meanwhile, in London, ministers argued through the night. Britain had guaranteed Belgium's neutrality. To break that word would unravel a century of policy. When Berlin ignored the ultimatum, Britain declared war. In that moment, the conflict that was meant to be local became global. A clause meant to prevent invasion had summoned the world. The Royal Navy closed the North Sea. Across the Channel sailed the British Expeditionary Force, small, professional, and precise. They landed in France just as German columns expected to be approaching Paris. The timetable was bleeding days. Still, the soldiers marched, believing speed could repair destiny. At Mons, British rifle fire tore through advancing German lines. The rate of fire was so fierce that survivors swore they faced machine guns. But it was discipline, not machinery, that shattered them. men trained to fire 15 rounds a minute with calm precision. For the first time, the machine of war met human mastery and faltered. In Berlin, reports grew uneven. Victories on paper dissolved into mud and exhaustion. Helmuth von Moltke the Younger, inheritor of the plan, began to panic. He diverted divisions east to face Russia, weakening the right wing that Schlieffen had sworn must stay strong. "Keep the right strong," were the old man's final words. Now the right began to buckle under its own hunger. By early September, the German armies had marched 400 miles. They were starving, blistered, and half asleep. Horses collapsed in their traces, boots fell apart. Between the First and Second Armies opened a dangerous gap, invisible to headquarters but clear to the French. General Joffre saw it, and he struck. From within Paris, General Gallieni mobilized every taxi in the city to rush men to the front. It was a gesture more symbolic than strategic, yet symbols matter when nations tremble. On the 6th of September, French and British forces counterattacked along the Marne. The rivers ran with confusion and courage. German lines bent, then broke. Within days, the great advance turned into retreat. The Schlieffen Plan, designed for motion, had met the immovable truth of fatigue and resistance. What was meant to be a 6-week campaign became the birth of trench warfare. By the end of the month, both sides dug in along the Aisne River. Trenches, at first shallow ditches for cover, deepened into scars that would divide a continent. The race to outflank one another, the so-called race to the sea, ended when the line reached the channel. There were no flanks left, only mud, wire, and waiting. The age of movement had ended. The age of endurance had begun. The dream of precision had collapsed under friction. A single treaty clause, once dismissed as a diplomatic formality, had turned the perfect timetable into a perfect trap. By violating Belgium, Germany had invited Britain. By inviting Britain, it had summoned the world. The shortcut became the snare. In the quiet that followed the first winter, soldiers looked out across no man's land and saw what mathematics could not predict: fatigue, fear, and an enemy who was equally lost in time. The Schlieffen Plan was over, but its shadow would stretch across 4 years and 10 million graves. Germany's timetable had broken the world, and from its shattered hours would rise the century we still inhabit. Thank you for watching TLDR Learning. If you enjoyed this video, consider liking, commenting, subscribing, and sharing with your friends. There is real research and a team of people working together to bring you these videos. We hope you enjoy them as much as we did making them. Check our channel for more content like this. See you in the next one.